You sit down to pray. You try to focus, but your mind just won't stop. Thought after thought, distraction after distraction, and instead of feeling peace, you feel frustrated. If you ever wondered why your mind won't slow down, even when you pray, this is going to explain exactly what's happening. Because this event isn't random, and it doesn't mean you're doing something wrong. And if you've ever felt this, where you're trying to pray, but your thoughts just keep pulling you in different directions, you are not alone. Most people experience this, but they don't talk about it because it feels like something is wrong with them, like they're not focused enough or not disciplined enough. And even some people don't, they feel like they're not spiritual enough. But that's not the case. You see, that's not the real problem. What's actually happening is that your mind isn't failing you. It's trying to process what you've been carrying all day long. And when you finally slow down, when you finally get quiet, that's when everything surfaces. If you don't understand this, you'll keep fighting your mind every single time you try to pray. This is one area where most people get stuck. Because instead of understanding what's happening, they start fighting it. They sit there thinking, things like, I need to focus, or I need to clear my mind. Or maybe, you think of, well, I just need to stop thinking. Boy, that would solve it, wouldn't it? But what you don't realize is the more you try to force your mind to be quiet, the louder it becomes. Because you just added pressure to something that's already overloaded. And pressure creates resistance. Let me explain it this way to you. Imagine trying to hold a beach ball under the water. At first you can keep it down. It's pretty easy. You got it under control. But the longer you push, the more force it builds until eventually it explodes back up. That's exactly what's happening in your mind. You're trying to push your thoughts down instead of letting them come up. And here is what's most important that people don't realize. Your mind doesn't just produce random thoughts. It prioritizes what feels unresolved. So when you finally sit still, your mind goes, hey, this is a perfect moment to deal with everything I went through today. You see, it's not to distract you, but to help you process. And this next part is where everything starts to shift. The problem isn't that your mind is too active. The problem is that you've never been taught what to do when it becomes active. So instead of working with your mind, you've been working against it. And that's why prayer starts to feel frustrating. Not because you're doing it wrong, but because you're trying to skip a step. You see, you're trying to connect without clearing what's in the way. Once you understand what that step is, everything about this starts to change. If this is something that you deal with often, I put together a simple guide to help you called Calm Your Mind When You Pray. It shows you how to actually process these thoughts instead of fighting them. You can download the free download below in the description. The link is in the description. So what's the step that we've been missing? You know, it's not trying harder, and it's not forcing focus. Here's what we've been missing. You haven't learned how to process what's in your mind before trying to be still. You see, you're still trying to connect while carrying everything at the same time. And your mind won't let that happen. You see, real stillness doesn't come from silence. It comes from clearing what's already inside you. And that doesn't happen instantly. There are three things that we can look at. It happens when you acknowledge what's there, you bring it to the surface, and you actually process it. That's what your mind has been trying to do all along. And this is why prayer starts to feel frustrating. Because instead of feeling connected, you feel distracted. Instead of feeling peace, you feel overwhelmed. And eventually, you start avoiding it. Your avoidance isn't because you don't care. It's because it feels like it's not working. But you know, it can work. And not by forcing the silence, but by learning how to work with your mind instead of against it. Here's something simple that you can start doing immediately. Next time you sit down to pray, don't try to clear your mind. Instead, ask yourself this question. What keeps coming up right now in my mind? What keeps coming up? Whatever that is, bring that into your prayer. Okay, don't change it. Don't change it to a perfect version. Don't change it to a filtered version. Whatever came up in your mind, the real thought, the real thing, that's what you want to bring up, because that's where connection actually happens. If you want help doing this, again, I mentioned to you, I put together that guide for you, Calm Your Mind While You Pray. It walks you through how to calm your mind and process these thoughts step by step. It's a free download, and you can get it in the link below. You know, if you've been feeling like this for a while, where your mind just won't slow down, where prayer feels frustrating, where you feel mentally exhausted, that's not something to ignore. That's something to understand. Because the more you ignore it, the louder it becomes. So don't just watch this video and move on. Start working through it. Download the guide below and begin understanding what's actually happening in your mind. You know, if you've been feeling constantly drained, like no matter what you do, you just don't have the energy, there's a reason for that too. And that's what we're talking about in our next video. Why you feel spiritually exhausted all the time. Because once you understand why you're constantly drained, you'll finally know what needs to change. When you change your mind, it becomes clear. Connection becomes natural. If your mind won't slow down when you pray, start here with calming your mind when you pray. Thank you for being with us. I'm John with Transform to Live. See you in the next video. God bless you.